Council to the World Muhajir Congress and to welcome you here today. I want to introduce you to the directors of the World Muhajir Congress who are going to share some thoughts with you and answer questions you might have. So I'll ask them to come up. We have Tosif Khan, who began his political involvement as a student in Karachi 24 years ago. He's continued his involvement in the U.S., serving as a member of the Central Organizing Committee of MQM-US. Professionally, he's in information technology at Booz Allen Hamilton in the federal and corporate sector, working here in Washington, D.C. Jamshed Warsi graduated from Karachi University in political science before emigrating to the U.S., where he began his political involvement at the grassroots level, eventually also joining the MQM-USA Central Organizing Committee. Professionally, he's a heavy equipment exporter in Houston, Texas. And the third director is Muhammad SIDDIQUI, who began his political involvement while studying mechanical engineering at Mehran University. He was twice elected, representing MQM on the ballot in Pakistan. He served as Minister of Industries in government and also represented MQM in the United Nations 3 times. Professionally, he's a builder and real estate developer in the United States. Gentlemen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Before I start my overview on this, I would like to share a little bit of piece of history that I come from the great state of Texas. I've driven all the way. Taking you, ladies and gentlemen, to the history of Texas when they were fighting War of Alamo, which was independence of Texas. 2 great Americans, Jim Bowie and David Crockett from Tennessee, they tried to gather people and reach Texas to help them win the war. Why they did that was they cared about their nation. So I remember what David Crockett told his men he tried to gather. That was the great. So I come from that land. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll start. Good afternoon again. On behalf of World Muhajir Congress, I welcome you all at WMC's first news conference, and thank you all for your presence here. The name World Muhajir Congress, or you can say WMC, may perhaps be relatively new, but I'm sure most of you, if not all, must have heard or read about it. World Muhajir Congress is a human rights and advocacy organization that strives to represent those secular ethnic Muhajir, or you can call them immigrants, whose ancestors had migrated to Pakistan following the partition of India in 1947, and the majority of whom had settled in Pakistan's southern Sindh province, mainly the port city of Karachi. These Muhajirs, whose main language is Urdu, and whose population is now over 70 million, and I repeat, over 70 million in Pakistan, are the most educated as well as most liberal and enlightened ethnic group in Pakistan. Even though successive military and civilian governments have deliberately tried to delay, engineer, or manipulate census figures with a view to show Muhajir population way less than it actually is, we have documented that, and we have documented that, back up our position that Muhajir constitutes over 1/3 of Pakistan's population. Now, I will give you a little brief overview. By the early 20th century, it had become evident that British rule in India would sooner or later come to an end, and the people of India will eventually take control of their own affairs. Muslim leadership in India's Muslim minority provinces feared that Muslims living in Hindu majority areas such as UP, CP, and Bihar would be left in a highly disadvantageous position following the departure of the British. Thus, the creation of a Muslim League, a political party, and to demand rights for Muslims. The Center for Muslims Politics was in the Muslim minority provinces areas, not the areas where Muslims were in majority or the areas where Pakistan was created. Muslims living in Muslim majority areas may have superiority in numbers, but they were far behind their Hindu counterparts economically, socially, educationally, culturally, and obviously politically. Over 90% of their economy was under the control of Hindus. For instance, and these are the figures that are true and correct, 82% of land in West Punjab, 82% of land in West Punjab and 70% of land in Sindh was owned by Hindus. Even the land Muslims in Sindh owned had been mortgaged. After Punjab, Sindhis are the biggest beneficiaries of Pakistan's creation. The founders of Pakistan had centered their demand for Muslim rights on the notion that India was home to mainly two nations, Hindus and Muslims. They argued that stark religious differences between the two required a permanent constitutional and political solution. The idea of separation between Hindus and Muslims was termed as the two-nation theory, and I'm sure you have heard about that, two-nation theory. This very theory turned out to be the basis of the creation of Pakistan in 1947. Muslims in the Hindu majority areas of India were at the forefront of the movement for Muslim rights and made huge sacrifices for their rights as well as for the creation of Pakistan. It was mainly their sacrifices that made the creation of Pakistan possible. History is written August 14, 2017. What we have been going through, please. Pakistani borders were closed to stop the influx of Muhajirs from India. Now this is back in 1947. Millions of Indians from both sides of the border migrated to their homeland. They left behind their businesses and millions of acres of land behind. To compensate these immigrants, an Evacuee Trust Treaty was signed in 1950. Now this is very important. In 1950, an international treaty was signed in 1950 by India and Pakistan, which was very, very popularly known as Liaquat-Nehru Pact. This international treaty stipulated that immigrants on both sides would be compensated by granting them the property left behind by their counterparts. Well, here is the deal on that Nehru and that pact, Liaquat-Nehru Pact. India fully honored its commitment, and which all Indians should be proud, I guess, I'm sure they are. India fully honored its commitment and justly compensated every immigrant that had gone from Pakistan to India. However, unfortunately, the same didn't happen to Muhajirs who came to Pakistan, and only a tiny fraction of their compensation claims were granted, which again, we have the documents to substantiate that the influx and the ratio of compensation given to the Muhajirs that came. In 1948, Pakistan's founder, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, died in mysterious circumstances. He died in a very mysterious, and this is all in part of history. In 1951, Pakistan's first Muhajir Prime Minister, Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan, who's also founding, leaders hand in hand with Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was assassinated in Punjab, city of Rawalpindi. His real assassins were never apprehended. No inquiry made, nothing. Still until today. In 1958, Pakistan's first army dictator, General Ayub, who called himself as field marshal, self-made field marshal or whatever you can call, but he was basically a general. Ayub Khan dismissed hundreds of top-notch Muhajir bureaucrats from government jobs soon after taking over control with no foundation, and were denied even right to appeal in any court of law. This is what happened with Muhajir who used to be from Indian civil service, and they opted to Pakistan, joining civil service of Pakistan. So that's what happened with them. In 1959, first capital of Pakistan was relocated Muhajir majority city of Karachi to Punjab, resulting in job losses to hundreds and thousands of Muhajirs. Ms. Fatma Jinnah, sister of founder of Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was made to lose highly rigged presidential election in 1965 by army dictator General Ayub. General Ayub's son, Gohar Ayub, led an armed, this is all part of history that I'm talking about, sir, and anyone who has question on that, I will be very much willing to share the documents. General Ayub's son, Gohar Ayub, led armed mob of men from KP province, which is now Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it used to be Northwest Frontier Province, NWFP, to attack Muhajir Muhajir neighborhoods in Karachi, following controversial victory of Ayub Khan in 1965. Hundreds of homes were set on fire and scores of Muhajirs were killed. International media reported these attacks and wrote Muhajirs were penalized and punished for siding with who? With sister of founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. That was our fault, that we sided with Muhtarama Fatma Jinnah. Miss Fatma Jinnah was found dead in her house in mysterious circumstances. Absolutely. I mean, even today in the talk shows on Pakistani TV channels and all that, I come across, I would not name the anchors, but they talk about it. They say that Fatma Jinnah was poisoned, or Fatma Jinnah, there was a conspiracy in her death. So you all know about that. Anyway, Pakistan disintegrated in 1971. Now, 1971, that's not too far from us. Probably most of us here, we are witness to that. It disintegrated in 71 when the majority Bengali population in the former East Pakistan rose up against Punjabi-dominated West Pakistan's refusal to accept Bengali leader Mujibur Rahman's victory in the elections of 1971. Hundreds of thousands of Urdu-speaking Muhajirs back then sided with Pakistan and Pakistan Army. They were in support of Pakistan Army. Who? The Muhajirs, the Urdu-speaking people living in East Pakistan. And supported Pakistan Army in the former East Pakistan to save Pakistan. 93,000 soldiers of Pakistan Army eventually surrendered before the Indian Army and the Bengali insurgents and were brought back to Pakistan. 250,000 Muhajirs who had sided with Pakistan and with the Pakistan Army were never allowed to come back to Pakistan. Now, whereas remember this, 93,000 that were captured and prisoner of war, they were brought back to Pakistan. Now, those people who sided with the army, who supported the army, who supported Pakistan, they were left behind. And the surviving still languish in Red Cross camps today in Bangladesh in horrid conditions. Those people who had claimed themselves as Pakistanis, those Urdu-speaking Muhajirs who had sided with the Pakistan Army in 1971 in the name of patriotism and in the name of Pakistan and in the name of Pakistan military, they have been punished until today and they are languishing in jails in Red Cross camps today, from 71 and until 2017, is about what, about a generation or generation two, I guess. I mean, that have grown up in those Red Cross camps. Throughout the 70s, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Urdu-speaking Muhajirs were forced to flee from rural Sindh to Karachi when armed mobs of Sindhis attacked their homes and farms under the protection of Sindh majority Pakistan People's Party of the great champion of democracy, or whatever you can call it, Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, whatever you can call that. Okay. Properties of Muhajirs were confiscated after being looted by armed Sindhi nationalists. Urdu was replaced as official language of Sindh province by Sindhi language. In 1971, the army dictator General Yahya Khan, in conveyance with Sindhi Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, imposed a repressive and unjust quota system. Now remember, this quota system is only in Karachi, in Sindh, on a rural and urban basis in Sindh province. Mr. Bhutto's PPP later legislated this order to impose the repressive system for 10 years. Now here comes the elected democratic Prime Minister of Pakistan, who implements that. Yahya Khan, the dictator, had brought this but never implemented. The implementation was done by a so-called. Okay, the minority rural population was allocated 60% quota in educational institutions and government jobs. The highly unjust system had been imposed for 10 years, but has always been extended since by successive governments, whether civilian or military, even until today. So that quota system still exists. In the mid-80s, dozens of Muhajir towns throughout Sindh, Karachi and Hyderabad in particular, were attacked by armed men under the patronage of Pakistan's mighty intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies. Now, when I say under the patronage, I very clearly, I want to say that this is the Pakistan, rather let me put it this way, Punjabi military establishment and ISI, under their patronage, they have organized these killings of innocent Muhajirs. Thousands of unarmed innocent Muhajirs were killed, injured, and maimed for life in those attacks. Women were raped. And properties were either looted or set on fire. To name few of the areas, I'm sure you all must have, and if I have here Pakistani media, I'm not sure about that, but you would have heard, and you have heard about Aligarh, Kasbah Colony, Hyderabad, Pakka Killa, Jalalabad are just a few of many places that were attacked. Not a single attacker of those attacks have ever been arrested or let alone prosecuted. In the early 90s, Pakistan's law enforcement agencies killed over 20,000 Muhajirs belonging to one political party, Muttahida Qawmi Movement, in staged encounters. Those were all extrajudicial killings. 2 Pakistani elected governments were sacked on charges of these extrajudicial executions, but no official was ever arrested or punished. Muhajirs from majority population in Sindh, but no Muhajir has ever been allowed to become chief minister of Sindh, even when a Muhajir party was the major partner in coalition government. How irony is that? That's MQM gave all their life, whatever, into forming coalition government, yet no Muhajir was ever voted in as chief minister of Sindh. And they were majority partner in coalition government. See that? This is how democracy works back there. So anyway, let's move on. Karachi's population is always deliberately reduced in census. It is on record that Interior Secretary of Provincial Government in Sindh in 1972 had reduced Karachi's population by more than 1/2 on the orders of PPP founder and former Prime Minister, Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Karachi generates nearly 70% revenue for the national exchequer and over 90% for the provincial, but is given less than 2% of that revenue for its own needs. And we all know what Karachi is looking like these days. I mean, all on a switch of a channel, you can see Karachi. We have Corps Commander there, we have Director General Rangers there, we have the Chief Minister there, we have the whole government there. But look at Karachi, it is probably in such a condition that I don't even want to express, and I can't even explain you. You all know about that. Muhajirs are not accepted in Pakistan Army, Sindh Police, intelligence agencies, diplomatic jobs, and other important national institutions, irrespective of their education and experience. And I will share in a bit a little my personal experience on this. Bearing an absolutely ceremonial president, which these days, who is that president, Mr. Mamnoon or Mamoon? I think Mamnoon.
Mamnoon.
Mamnoon. So he is very lucky, one of the Muhajir guys. We'll talk about that. No Muhajir holds an important office in Pakistan. No Muhajir holds an important office in Pakistan. Now, before I pass it on to Mr. ARIF SIDDIQUI to proceed further, I will just share a little bit. I had a very good friend of mine in Lahore. He was AIG, Punjab Police. And I went from Karachi and I was his guest. So he took me on a round of few of the, I don't remember the names, but he did take me to a few of the police stations in Lahore. And, you know, after visiting them, I had lunch, and then on lunch, I sat with him and I started talking. I said, Dar Sahab, I don't see, other than Punjabi SHOs and ASI and DSPs and SPs and whatever, why is that? I mean, other than Punjabi, I don't see anyone here. I don't see any Urdu speaking, right? In Karachi, I see a lot of Punjabis running the police stations. So why is that, Dar Sahab? Is there any reason to it? Very good friend of mine, and he goes, "Oy Majra da ki kam hai police ach." So this is my good friend. I'm not backbiting him. He's still my very good friend, but I'm just his observation. Now this is the mindset that we absolutely do not agree. Absolutely not. So we are educated. We can face people, we can, talk about things. But anyways, we'll continue on that. Now I will pass on to Mr. ARIF SIDDIQUI. Please continue. Thank you.
Before I go on to the press conference, I will give you a brief background of Muhajirs. According to the UN Charter, Muhajirs are those who have been migrated from subcontinent of India to Pakistan on account of partition. The word is account, not due to partition. On account of partition, which means that the Muhajirs were counted in numbers. And it took 9 years to Pakistan to become republic. Whereas India became republic in 1 year, same happened with Bangladesh. The importance of Muhajirs is until and unless the become a nation is completed, you cannot become republic, period. This is not something I'm saying. This is what the United Nations definition says. They submitted their case to become, they want to have their separate homeland, but it didn't go through. Why? Because the population percentage they required, they didn't have it. Same was the issue with Israel. They didn't have the percentage, they didn't become republic, can't have their own constitution. Now let me come on to the point. So those who says that Muhajirs just migrated for nothing, go into the international document, have a look at it. If 22 million Muhajirs wouldn't have migrated to Pakistan, Pakistan would never ever could have become a republic. Now, what Muhajir stands for, World Muhajir Congress believes in religious freedom and harmony. Its philosophy of a clear separation between state and religion is consistent with the ideals inherent in the Constitution of the United States of America. These are also the very ideals that the founder of Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, unequivocally stated in his address to the first Legislative Constituent Assembly of Pakistan in 1948. Quote unquote, you are free to go to your temples, you are free to go to your mosque or to any other place or worship in this state of Pakistan. You may belong to any religion or caste or creed that has nothing to do with the business of the state. As you know, history shows that in England, conditions some time ago were much worse than those prevailing in India today. The Roman Catholic and the Protestant persecuted each other. Even now, there are some states in existence where there are discrimination made and bars imposed against a particular class. Thanks God, we are not starting in those days. We are starting in the days where there is no discrimination, no distinction between one community and another, no discrimination between one caste or creed and another. We are starting with this fundamental principle that we are all citizens and equal citizens of one state. The peoples of England in course of time had to face the realities of the situation and had to discharge the responsibility and burden placed upon them by the government of their country, and they went through that fire step by step. Today you might say with justice that Roman Catholic and Protestant do not exist. What exists now is that every man is a citizen, an equal citizen of Great Britain, and are all members of the nation. Now I think we should keep that in front of us as our ideal, and you will find that in course of time, Hindus would cease to be Hindus and Muslims would cease to be Muslims, not in the religious sense, but because that it is the personal faith of each individual, but in the political sense as citizen of the state. Unfortunately, Mr. Jinnah's brilliant vision of a secular Pakistan could never see the daylight, and Pakistani Punjabi dominated army took control of the country, foreign, domestic and economic policy from the day one. In order to keep Pakistan, other ethnic group in check, Punjabi military establishment decoded a new engineered fake interpretation of Pakistan ideology and started to run Pakistan into a theocratic state. It has attempted to make Pakistan and religion Islam synonymous with each other, so that any voice that attempt to challenge injustice in Pakistan could be silenced in the name of religion. This policy is now in place with more intensity than ever. Religious proxies established by Pakistan Punjabi militant establishment are thriving in every part of the country and being unleashed against any dissenting voice. Freedom of expression is branded as blasphemy, and the violators are hunted down by both the military agencies and religious extremists. The punishment is either disappearance at the hands of law enforcement agencies or lynching at the hands of diagnosed mobs of or religious extremists. The result is the Osama bin Laden, Mullah Umar, Hafiz Saeed and likes are national heroes in Pakistan, whereas Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai is forced to live in exile. Pakistan Premium Spy Agency ISI is the largest promoter and sponsor of religious extremism in Pakistan, in the region as well as globally. It is a state within a state, and its mindless political has turned Pakistan into epicenter of terrorism worldwide. Osama bin Laden, world most wanted man and the chief of murderers. Al-Qaeda was given refuge in Pakistan, garrison city Abbottabad until American CIA traced his whereabouts and US Marines killed him. The mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, was found in Pakistan. Mullah Umar was allowed to comfortably live in Pakistan until he died naturally at a big name hospital in Karachi. Ramzi Bill Al-Sib and hundreds of other terrorists were captured by the CIA from Pakistan. There are credible reports. Whatever I have said, I didn't say from my own part. Everything is published in international media and reports. There are credible reports that Al-Qaeda current chief Aman al-Zawahiri still lives in Pakistan and freely roams between Karachi and Quetta. Credible global publications have also published reports citing US Army and CIA sources that notorious Haqqani network and Taliban Quetta Shura are both operating from Pakistan under the protection and supervision of the ISI. The neighbors of Pakistan, Afghanistan in particular, has been blaming ISI for unrest in their countries. World most wanted terrorists from Taliban, Al-Qaeda and ISIS are being given refuge in Pakistan today instead of facing charges for murder and war crimes. Pakistan military establishment is also using religious extremist group as proxies against secular Muhajirs and Baloch. These groups have established their terrorist base in Karachi and its outskirts, where law enforcement agencies never dare to step into those areas. Jihadist group have been established their own Sharia court, dispensing their own form of justice. Flagging, beheading, and impudence are a routine occurrence in those areas. The same law enforcement agencies who seem incapable of taking any action against these heavily armed terrorists, on the other hand, routinely pick up, torture, kill, and dump human bodies of Muhajirs and Balochis in Sindh and Balochistan on a daily basis. We want to reiterate that the US-led war on terrorism could not be won without addressing the core issue of extremism and militancy in Pakistan. Every year, the USA pays hundreds of millions of dollars in coalition support fund to Pakistan for its action against wanted terrorists. This policy doesn't make any sense, as this means the USA is awarding Pakistan for its failure to stop the emergence of these terrorists on its soil on a regular basis. Arresting, prosecuting, and sentencing these terrorists must be Pakistani job anyway. It must be penalized, not rewarded for its failure or prevent the use of its soil being used by terrorists on a regular basis. following growing pressure from the international community. Pakistan military establishment has shifted most of its proxies to Karachi. The Karachi, which used to be the capital of Pakistan, thickly populated with Muhajir community, and even highly credible publications and sources in the USA have confirmed this in their recent report. We want to remind the world that Karachi is not just the powerful house of Pakistan economy, it is also a very important city strategically. All the NATO and US supply routes go through Karachi, magnifying the strategic geopolitical location of the city. According to a recent UN report, Islamic State outsources terror attack to Pakistan based outfit, and a large number of them are reportedly operating from Karachi. The 9/11 attack were planned out in the caves of Afghanistan, where their impact jolted at the entire world. Now, with the resource provided to these extremist religious groups by the ISI. Imagine the magnitude of impact they can have. Working out of a major economic city like Karachi, it is clearly evident that Pakistan military establishment wants to hand over the city to religious extremists. And this is the main reason behind successive deadly military operation against secular Muhajirs and their representative political party, in particular in the city of Karachi. In addition, with the recent investment by China in Pakistan via CPEC, we are concerned about the impact of growing Chinese influence in Karachi and Balochistan. Muhajirs and Balochis have grave reservations on the CPEC deal. We urge US Congress and Trump administration to cut off military aid to Pakistan until Pakistan military establishment complies with international human rights charter and conventions and agree to allow Muhajirs and other ethnic and religious groups to live a life of dignity. World Muhajir Congress offer unconditional support to US administration in effort to eradicate terrorism and terror sanctuary. World Muhajir Congress stands firmly against religious extremism and act of mindless terrorism being committed in Pakistan, in South Asia and globally. World Muhajir Congress goal is to eradicate terrorism in all its manifestations and promote peace, security and stability in the region as well as globally. World Muhajir Congress believe in justice and equality for all, regardless of race, religion, section, ethnicity and gender. It wants equal opportunity for women and ethnic and religious minorities. It believes in merit, rule of law and supremacy of judiciary and constitution.
ये तो हमारे पास रिटर्न सब कुछ है, अगर आप सवाल जवाब सेशन करने के लिए
वो भी कर लेते हैं।
क्या ब्रीफली करने हैं आप कम
देर से शुरू किया, नीचे पार्किंग के टिकट लग जाएंगे हमारे गाड़ी में।
भाईजान बात ये चीज को रिटर्न में आने से भागते क्यों आप?
रिटर्न में तो आ गई
बातें तो नहीं इसलिए तो
About World Muhajir Congress, we all once were part of Muhajir mainstream political party, Muttahida Qawmi Movement MQM. We admit that MQM founder and leader Mr. Altaf Hussain gave Muhajir the voice that they desperately needed. He united them. When he says united them, they united Muhajir, us. Right? He gave them a voice and turned into a formidable political and social force in Pakistan. We not only admit all of this, we also give him full credit for this. We have the utmost respect for what he has done for this oppressed and voiceless Mahajir nation. We believe that he truly deserved to be called father of Mahajir nation, and we believe that because he is the one who took them out of oblivion and turned into a nation. But we believe he should not be converted Mahajir Qawmi movement into Muttahida Qawmi movement. We do not agree with that. Muhajir Qawmi movement shouldn't have converted into Muttahida Qawmi movement. Because in Pakistan, every province is led with their native language. So why we should leave our native language? Mahajir national language is Urdu, and we are Mahajirs, and this is our language in accordance to the English form of United Nations, that the language which we got from the birth, from the cradle. We also believe that once he had united Mahajir into a formidable political force, he should have demanded a piece of land for them with at least autonomy in domestic matter. He should have demanded redesigning for Pakistan instead of demanding the evolution of feudal system or the right for all middle class people. We have now served our association with MQM. We have fully officially resigned from MQM and have become part of World Mahajir Congress. We appeal to every Mahajir who are based overseas to join us and work for a permanent resolution of Mahajir's grievances. We also invite Mr. Altaf Hussain to join us and take the command of World Mahajir Congress. We should be glad to work under his leadership at World Mahajir Congress. And now I will refer this to Mr.
Okay, now I'll very quickly and very briefly, I'll just walk you through on this. What plans we had, basically WMC, World Mahajir Congress, what plans do we have and how do we look into this? We firmly believe that Pakistan's current structure, the current structure is absolutely flawed and unworkable. I mean, totally unworkable, the current system that Pakistan has. It is not even consistent with what Sir Allama Muhammad Iqbal, the so-called visionary behind the idea of Pakistan's creation, had actually proposed. Here I quote from the 1940 Lahore resolution that was used on the basis for the demand of Pakistan. Resolved that it is the considered view of the session of All India Muslim League that no constitutional plan would be workable in the country or acceptable to the Muslims unless it is designed on the following basic principles: that geographically contiguous units are demonstrated into regions which should be constituted with such territorial readjustments as may be necessary, that the areas in which the Muslims are numerically in a majority, as in northwestern and eastern zone of British India, should be grouped to constitute independent states. Now, mark these words, independent states. The Lahore Resolution, the 1940 Lahore Resolution, clearly specifies independent states in which the constituent units should be autonomous and sovereign. That's very outspoken of Sir Allama Muhammad Iqbal of 1940 Lahore Resolution. Anyway, going forward, the adequate, effective and mandatory safeguards should be specifically provided in the Constitution for minorities in these units in the region for the protection of their religious, cultural, economic, political, administrative and other rights and interests in consultation with them and other parts of British India where the Muslims are in a majority. Adequate, effective and mandatory safeguard shall be specifically provided in Constitution for them and other minorities for the protection of their religious, cultural, economical, political, administrative and other rights and interests in consultation with them. As you can see, the 1940 resolution had clearly demanded creation of Muslim majority states. Muslim majority states, and I repeat that, and not an autocratic federation that Pakistan has turned out to be. We now believe that only creation of multiple states of the current Pakistan is the ultimate solution to the ethnic as well as religious problems that Pakistan is facing. Muhajirs of all deserve autonomy in the region where they form majority, as they are the ones who have made most sacrifice for Pakistan. We believe that the current federal system in Pakistan has absolutely failed in its ethnic minorities. It was also responsible for the breakup of Pakistan in 1971. The current system benefits only one province, and that province is the mighty Punjab and its army. The rest of the country, Muhajirs and Baloch in particular, are the biggest victim of the unjust system. We therefore completely reject it. We believe that it is now time to break Pakistan into small, autonomous, constituent states or administrative units with a loose federation having minimal power and equal representation at federation as well as in the army. We would like to make it clear that we hold absolutely no grudge against common Punjabis. We absolutely not hold any grudge against common Punjabis or any other law-abiding Pakistanis. We do not hate anyone nor want to fight with anyone. What we just want, and we fully deserve, a life of dignity for Muhajirs as well as for all ethnic and religious minorities in Pakistan. We are currently fine-tuning our final proposals and plans and will welcome any suggestions. Any suggestions that anyone wants to give us, please, most welcome. Though today's press conference, we request all ethnic minorities in Pakistan, philosophers, political experts, and analysts to please send us what they believe could best serve and protect the interests and inspirations of ethnic Muhajirs, Baloch, Pashtuns, Saraikis, Sindhis, people of Gilgit Hazara, and all other minorities. It should also be noted that 1940 resolution had been drafted. Now this is something very important to note, that this 1940 resolution had been drafted by Sir Zafarullah Khan, who was an Ahmadi, and had been presented, the Lahore resolution was presented by Maulvi Fazl Haq, a Bengali. Now the Sir Zafarullah Khan was Ahmadi, Maulvi Fazl Haq was a Bengali gentleman, and Ahmadis have been declared as non-Muslims in Pakistan. And Bengalis, who were majority ethnic group in Pakistan, having seceded in 1971 after being subjected to inhuman massacre and rapes by the Pakistan military. World Muhajir Congress is holding meetings with US lawmakers, think tanks, diplomats, and human rights organizations to apprise them of the plight of Muhajirs in Pakistan. We are thankful to Congressman Judge Ted Poe, who fortunately is from my great state of Texas, for raising the plight of Muhajirs and its issues in US Congress. We are determined to take the case of oppressed Muhajirs to the United Nations and US decision-making bodies to seek their intervention to stop the genocide of Muhajirs. Enough is enough. In Pakistan, as well as to get their support in finding a permanent solution of Muhajir issues and the issues of Pakistan Army sponsored terrorism worldwide. Now, what are our main objectives? That's WMC is to apprise the world of racial discrimination, injustice, human rights violation, and genocide that Muhajirs have been facing in Pakistan right from the inception of the country. More than 20,000 Muhajirs have, as I said earlier, and now again I'm saying, have been extrajudicially killed in army-led operations in Karachi. Now, mind you, they were all unarmed. since 1992. Thousands are displaced and missing. In order to continue to take up the case of Muhajir Nation at all relevant international forums, WMC need help of every Muhajir all over the world. We would take this opportunity to appeal to all Muhajirs to step forward and donate generously to the noble cause. And I will share our bank account information, and I want to bring this to the record here. It's Eagle Bank, that World Muhajir Congress has an account at Eagle Bank, and I have the routing number, which is 055003298. The address is 7815 Woodmont Avenue, Bethesda, Maryland 20814, and their phone number is 301-986-1800. And the beneficiary, of course, is World Muhajir Congress with account number 200280402. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for a very long press conference.
Yes, have to.
So
it's a 70-year history.
It's okay. Then we're allowed to ask long questions too, right?
Please.
I have two questions. One is about the facts and figures presented by you. There are some factual contradictions we have noted as Pakistani journalists witnessing all these incidents in Pakistan. You mentioned that 2 Pakistani elected governments were sacked on charges of these extrajudicial executions, but no officials were arrested. But the fact of the matter is that these governments were not sacked on charges of these extrajudicial killings or executions, but they were alleged of corruption and some other tensions. And also you mentioned that there were Muhajirs are not accepted in Pakistan Army, Sindh Police, intelligence agencies and diplomatic jobs and other important national institutions, but we have witnessed the fact that they have been accepted in Pakistan Army, Police and other agencies, and they have risen to the top posts. Even General Pervez Musharraf, he was Army Chief and he was Muhajir, and he was very gladly owned by Muhajir, your leader Altaf Hussain, and he was welcomed in Karachi, and even there were violent incidents in support of President Musharraf on 12th May 2012, and hundreds of people were killed, and they were accused of being supportive of Muhajir, Qawmi Movement, Altaf faction, and it was very well supported. And also,
is there a question or is this a speech?
It is a question, and based on fact, it has to be asked, right?
Okay.
And also, the second question is it not a fact that since the operation started in 2013, the incidents of target killing, extrajudicial killing, extortions, robberies and crimes have decreased significantly, and which shows that general population of Karachi and business community is breathing a sigh of relief to this calm and peace that is resorting. And today we have witnessed Karachiites are celebrating Pakistan's Independence Day with too much affections and with Pakistani flags. So it shows a different picture. Thank you.
Hold on. The first part is this probably the history question about.
Yeah, but it's, I can answer all the 3 of them.
Okay, go ahead.
Unless Dosi Bhai wants it to.
That's
Well, you know, I believe that everybody has gone through the President's proclamation at the dismissal of the government. You got the Google website right now, just go through up there, and the first point of the proclamation is what? Farooq Lagari and Ghulam Isaq. Just go through the proclamation and see what it says. They put 5 charges in there, and you got an extrajudicial charging in there. And not only that, the Farooq Lagari, the Ghulam Isaq Khan has quoted the event where the mass killing of Muhajirs has been done in Pakka Kila, Hyderabad. It's a part and parcel of it.
But that operation was carried out by the army, right? So it was not the government. So.
That's what I'm saying. We are saying that army and the government both was involved, but government was willing that operation, you know, while the president has killed that, put in his proclamation that the government has been dismissed due to the extrajudicial killing, particularly in Hyderabad. I think you got your answer on that we are just blaming it. These are the records which you can find on the Google. Just go over there and check it out. Okay, what the presidential proclamation 5 initial points says in dismissal of both the government. Not only that, in one of the government when Nawaz Sharif went to the Supreme Court restored the government, but what it says, they says the procedure is not correct through which the government is dismissed. But they did not deny the charges. It is in the judgment of the Supreme Court. You can have a look at that. Now your second point, you talk about the jobs that Muhajirs are getting jobs all over. I'm pretty sure you should be aware about that. What percentage of Muhajirs are there in the jobs in Pakistan now? Could you give me the number?
Do you have the numbers? You can share.
Now, if you say that 1 or 2% of the percentage are there in the Muhajir jobs, may I ask you, what was the position of Muslims before the division of the subcontinent of India? We was in the same position. Muslims was not getting jobs in subcontinent of India. What happened? Continent get divided. We are giving a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. If you adopt the same attitude, the history is going to repeat. Nobody can stop the history. We lost East Pakistan. Still, if we are not going to learn, it will be a disaster. And our entire new generation will suffer for it. Now on the third, you said on the 213 operation, the crime has been, stopped and all reduced. May I ask you that since how long the armies and rangers are out there? Since 1990. Now they say it is under control. Will you ever bother to have a look at the standard of living of our rangers, officers and army officers? Can they afford that standard of living with their salaries? Nobody can afford their standard of living nowadays in Pakistan the way they are living. That means they are involved in corruption themselves. Now what happened? Why it is get reduced? Because they put the switch off. If not, just make a commission and let them inquire that how they are maintaining their standard of living, how they are, even if it just at the utilities bills, their cars expenses, their servants, they got their rents, they can't afford it. A common person can't afford it. The way they live in Karachi, we are looking at it and we know what it is. We are not. Muhajirs are living in an educated society. We are educated. We don't believe on gossips. We use our common sense and logic. Muhajir nation believes on common sense and logic. Doesn't matter what the road media plays. It doesn't make no difference to us. We know what the ground realities are. If the logic is not there, it means the corruption is there. Any other question, please?
Musharraf, you do not mention Musharraf and dictator. Yeah, you
Yes.
okay.
Musharraf.
Talk about the rise of power of Musharraf.
Yeah.
Musharraf himself wrote his book and he mentioned why he became general of Pakistan Army, because he was at that time not considered as an army chief. And why Nawaz Sharif chose him over other generals? Because he was Urdu speaking, and Nawaz Sharif was thought, and that was mentioned by General Pervez Musharraf on his own book. And he said he is Urdu speaking, he cannot confer anything, he cannot become an issue for our government. That was a Punjabi mindset. What he mentioned, General Musharraf himself, he was the army general, mentioned like why he chose over other generals. So that was the mindset of Pakistani society, especially Punjabi establishment. And that's why you are saying if he become a general, so there's a reason behind that. And that was General Musharraf himself wrote in his book.
But he went to the post of general and chief of army.
Yeah, there was army back. I mean, since he was completed his term as an army general, what happened after that? Right after 2007, 2008, what happened with him?
He had to go because he was dictator. There was
So there was army behind that, right?
1940
ये वर्ल्ड महाजिर कांग्रेस तो एक और भी ऑलरेडी मौजूद है, ठीक है, और वो कॉन्फ्रेंस डेट भी निकालते हैं, वो सारा कुछ करते हैं, उनके कुछ पॉलिटिकल एम्बिशंस भी हैं. आपके भी कोई आगे, क्योंकि since you're calling yourself advocacy group, how are you going to differentiate yourself from them also, do you have any political objectives in Pakistan or over here besides your going to United Nations?
No, we don't have any political objective in Pakistan. This is just an advocacy group for Muhajirs. And we raise the issues of Muhajirs at every level in international community which believes in human rights, either it's United Nations, either US or any other international forum, and Amnesty International, whatever you name it. But this is the advocacy group. And we don't have any political affiliation, we don't have any interference of any political matters of any political party, either in US, in Pakistan, or anywhere in the world. But we still keep raising the issues of Muhajirs at any level, that is US.
Even us MKM se jo aap chhod ke aaye hain, you don't have any.
We don't have, I mean, it's on the press conference, he's clearly resigned. He is.
But then you have invited Altaf Hussain as well. That's what I'm trying to just.
He's a leader of Muhajir nation. I mean, you cannot deny, if anyone can deny in this room, because he's the father of Muhajir nation.
Not anymore.
No, he is still the.
95 people, Muhajir.
It's your opinion.
Yeah, and that's why we are here.
You're
to
all
believe that.
parliament of member, assembly, senators, everyone, they are not follow Altaf Hussain anymore.
Oh, I think you are right. They're not following. But after what incidents? After 8 hours of meeting or whatever you call with Rangers, DG Rangers, what kind of pressure even Muhajir political workers are facing? Either you call it London or Pakistan. What pressure they are facing? One, don't have right to use or raise any Muhajir issues. They don't have right. Even they called for a rally, like this called like Istiqlal Pakistan rally. Who did not allow them? Can you give me the answer? Even the setup in Pakistan is always looking for help from establishment, like someone can open their offices. So what kind of pressure they are facing?
But truth is, they are not following right now Altaf Hussain, and then Karachi and Hyderabad is right now is more.
I mean, even on their press conference, they accepted. He is the father of a nation. They accepted. He is the founder leader of that political party.
What is the status of Farooq Sattar?
What?
I mean, you can ask them.
This was the same
What is the relationship between your party and Farooq Sattar party representing Pakistan? And my follow-up question is, when did you discover human rights violations that you are highlighting here? Your party was part of different governments more than 25 years. Why it is not was the issue at that time? And has your party moved any court in Pakistan to seek justice? And my other question is, your party has been accused of mass killing in Karachi for years. Your leader has publicly advocated revenge, killing, and your politics as an undeniable element of violence. Will you be willing to present yourself and your leader for trial so that clear yourself and your leadership of all such charges?
Accusations.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to you, Mrs. Just, I am here, and we are here to decide the destiny of Muhajir nation. I am not here to defend anyone. I am here to challenge. I am here. Please understand. We have been affected, aggrieved party. We have been, when I say party is Muhajir nation, we have been aggrieved by the Pakistan army and ISI. And I am here to defend my Muhajir nation on that. I am not here to discuss the government or what government or which government.
You already discussed
everything. Yes, what has happened, I've said that. The only thing is that if you have any specific question of Pakistan army or ISI, the notorious, I will defend my nation to the last, to the death, to my grave. I am here on a very, very clear agenda. Now, sir, when you said that we are part of MQM, I think you said that your leader Altaf Hussain.
You said your leader because it says in your press brief that
no,
you still.
I said that he deserves the respect.
And you invited him to be your leader, right?
He is father of my Muhajir nation, and I am so proud of that, right? But I do not follow his politics. I will not follow. I've been, I'll be very clear on that. I was member of Central Executive Committee of MQM. But hence today, I have parted my ways with him. I will not follow, because I only believe that I am here to work for my Muhajir nation. And I will defend, and I will defend until death. Be what may. I mean, guns will not stop me. I will knock each and every door of every democratic society, whether be it in Europe, whether be it in US, the Congress, the Foreign Committee. I will reach every door. I will not, because I need to save my nation, that my nation is being killed by Pakistan military, those paramilitary forces. I'm not going to take it. Like I said, enough is enough. Yes, sir.
Sir, you mentioned throughout the press conference your grievances since the inception of Pakistan in 1947. Then you came down to the present times. It seems that you have grievances from both the civilian and military government. But in your talk, you mentioned army and military as well. I've heard Punjab mindset, Punjab establishment. So can you tell us exactly who are you grieved from exactly? Is this Punjab dominated establishment or the Pakistan military as an institution?
Yes, let me, I've been probably very clear about that. I call that as Punjabistan Army, not Pakistan Army. ये बड़ी सीधी सी बात है, एक मुल्क होता है, उसकी फौज होती है. Very unfortunate, इस फौज का ये मुल्क है. You may not agree, but trust me, sir, deep down your heart.
But sir, there is a 67% Punjabi live over there. So of course
It doesn't matter, sir. All human beings born are equal. Regardless, you are mighty Punjabi and I am proud Muhajir. We are all human beings. We are all, हम अल्लाह के वो बंदे हैं कि एक दूसरे से मोहब्बत करें. मैंने अपने प्रेस ब्रीफ में कहा है कि मेरी नफरत नहीं है. मेरी नफरत, yes, मेरी आवाज उठेगी पाकिस्तान एस्टेब्लिशमेंट, मिलिट्री एस्टेब्लिशमेंट, ISI जो जुल्म की इंतहा कर रही है. मैं उसकी बात कर रहा हूं. मैं सराइकी के हक के लिए मैं खड़ा हूं.
आपने उनको
बिल्कुल.
I would like to ask the leaders of the World Muhajir Congress. I appreciate their kind thoughts on the sufferings of the Baluch people. Today, I think the Muhajirs and Baluch are sailing in the same boat. So my thanks to the Muhajir leadership of the World Muhajir Congress. At the same time, I would please like to ask, not to put you on the mat or anything, I would still ask you, it was the Muhajirs who were the creators of Pakistan, as you just said. So don't you think the time has come for the Muhajirs to say a big apology to India for what they did in 1947? And don't you think it is also a time for the Muhajirs to say a big apology to Bangladesh for siding with the wrong party during the 1971 conflict? I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Did Muhajir created Pakistan, or existing Pakistan and Bengali forced Muhajir to create Pakistan? Because the population you had it in East Pakistan, that is 3.25 crores, and in West Pakistan you have 17 millions. There was a shortfall of 22 million of population to become republic, according to the UN nation definition. So you force those Muhajirs to come and save the peoples of Muslim of Pakistan in the borders of Pakistan. This is not something I'm saying. This is what the record says in London Record Indian Library. You can go and have a look at it. All the numbers are there. Did you ever thought, you have a East Pakistan, you got a West Pakistan. Why you introduce one unit theory? What was the reason behind it? Because you put the population together. Even you put the population together, it doesn't match the number you required for the republic. So it took you 9 years, because until all those Muhajirs get migrated from India to Pakistan and meet the criteria, in 1955 you introduced one unit. In 1950, on 23rd March 1956, you became republic. But after the migration of Muhajirs. So you can't blame Muhajirs. In fact, you did it wrong. You did it wrong. You couldn't have deceived Muhajir at that time. Because if you look at the historical aspect, in 1935, we was living in 9 provinces, but our representation in the parliament was good enough. What we got up here, you had a problem up here. You got 82% of the Punjab lands owned by the Hindus. You got 70% land of the Sindh land owned by the Hindus. Everything is there on record, and this is not something what I'm saying. The petition which of separation of Sindh, which have been filed in the British Royal Commission in front of the Royal Commission, it is written over there. You have already mentioned this in your petition. So don't blame us. Don't blame us. We tried because you went down there. James Sayyid went down there. From even if you read the book of Sartaj Aziz, read his page number 9, Dream and Realities. What he is saying. He is himself is saying कि हमने जाकर के हिंदुस्तान में झूठ बोला कि पाकिस्तान का मतलब क्या ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. Read his book on page number 8 what he says. So those guys from existing Pakistan went to India and deceived Muhajirs. This is the ground reality, not I'm saying. This is what it is. We trusted you guys, and in exchange of the trust, what we got.
Do you renounce violence against journalists allegedly committed by MKM and TAF faction, like Wali Khan Babar was killed and accusation were leveled against MKM and the pressure groups? There was a time in Pakistani TV that the prime time will be given to MKM leader in 9 p.m. bulletins everywhere in all Pakistani TV. So if they were so much persecuted, the media would not be in so much pressure. So would you like to clarify that? What is your position on violence?
Let MQM answer that. It has nothing to do with World Muhajir Congress. Ask me about Muhajir, ask me about military, ask me about intelligence agencies, ask me about the killing, ask me about the rapes. Let's talk on that. Let's you know.
Just a question.
One at a time.
But you spoke about the misleading of Pakistan Army.
Not misleading, sir. I am very firm on what I said, and I am talking eyes to eyes and teeth to teeth.
So there are also accusations that this World Muhajir Congress initiative is backed by anti-Pakistan lobby, especially India and some other elements. So what do you say about that?
Like I said, I will knock the door of each and every democratic society. I will knock the door of each and every community who have the conscience that believe in equality of human beings. It doesn't really matter. They can't. It's very simple. And speaking on Pakistan's perspective, I will say, I can change my friends. I can change today, I can change tomorrow. I cannot change my neighbors. My neighbors are Iran, my neighbors are India, my neighbors are Afghanistan. How can you change that? No, we can't.
What about Kashmir?
Yes, we have stood with Kashmir.
Violation. Could you comment on that?
Yes, I mean, yes. Any human rights anywhere, but first I need to see my own people who are being dragged on the streets. I mean, not too long ago, 1 week, 10 days back, you are, mashallah, you all are journalists. You have seen how our women were dragged on the streets of Mirpur Khas. Is that humane? Is that how you treat? And is this you call as democracy? I don't think so, sir.
Just a question.
Please.
Referring to the Muhajir, word Muhajir or nation Muhajir, what are the concrete reasons for their enmity towards the Muhajirs? Why? What is the reason for that? Are you not the humans, or what they are looking into you? What's wrong with that?
So the problem is we are not son of the soil.
No, we are not feudal. That's what it is.
Let me tell you. When you use the word Muhajir, a lot of people came in Punjab, KP, and Sindh and Balochistan from they are Muhajirs. But there's a special thing going on with you, or according to you. So I just need to know the concrete reasons against you. What's the reason of the enmity towards you? What is the reason? What's wrong?
That's what you think what's wrong. The problem is that if we are living in urban areas, we are educated pupils. In rural areas of Punjab or in Punjab, where you got a domination, you can fool around with them and you can tell them you treat them like a slave. They accept it.
Same thing in Lahore, Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Gujranwala.
In any educated society, nobody will ever, you can't make them slave. You are living in America. Will you like to become slave like blacks?
No, I'm talking about
Nobody is going to
Lahore,
accept that.
which is the hub of educated people, and the Karachi is the hub of educated people. Rawalpindi, Islamabad, and big cities, Peshawar.
Yeah.
So I don't see any I don't see any concrete reasons against you, but we need to figure out that what are those.
You know, sir, recently.
If you are thinking that
Is this a political matter or
no. Listen, you just said probably the perception you got. What I think that you are saying that the people who come from East Punjab and coming to West Punjab are Muhajir, they are not. If you look at the EHLA definition, it says a person who's got the same province of birth will not be considered as Muhajir. And the same will be the situation with Bengalis. If the Bengalis who born in West Bengal is going to East Bengal, he can't be Muhajir. Same thing with that. It's not something I'm saying.
Karachi was part of Bombay, sir. They were
it
also
looks
one
like a
province.
political matter or political.
That's what you think.
Yeah, that's
It's
what-
not a political, it's a human right matter. If you treat us right, why this problem wasn't there when Pakistan came into existence? What was the reason when you threw out all this almost 3,000 Muhajirs from government jobs? What happened? You throw them out of the job. Did you ever look at the notification what it says? It clause 4 says these people have got no right of appeal in any court of law. What that means? It means those people wasn't corrupt. Otherwise, you wouldn't have inducted this clause number 4 in the notification.
Because I don't see any reasons from you guys from Muhajirs. My forefathers were Muhajirs. Okay, so that's why I don't see anything like the wrong thing from their point of view against you. That what you do wrong.
Just
so
tell
they
me
don't
how
like
many
it.
Muhajirs are there in government jobs today?
That I don't know.
No.
I don't
Why?
know.
Now this you don't know. Otherwise, you have got your
I know
reservation.
many of them, but
Just find out. Do some efforts.
Because
Find out. You will understand.
I'm from a city of Pakistan, and when I graduated from the college, I couldn't get admission in the university of my own hometown because I had a quota system. So I had to
In Punjab?
Yeah, in Punjab, yes. I could not get the admission because I was in my hometown university. So I had to go out of
You
my
don't have this quota
province.
system. You got quota system only in Sindh. If you got this quota system, show it to me.
I had to leave my city and I went to.
What I'm saying that the quota system.
There is a quota system in Quetta.
That is not.
पढ़ सकते हैं पंजाब में that quota है.
No. ऐसा नहीं आपके जो कोटा सिस्टम हर आपकी काउंटी का एक सर्टेन रिजर्वेशन रखी है. Not that quota system what we have in Sindh is not.
नहीं मैंने कहा कि मैं I'm from capital, so I had to leave the capital to get admission in some other province.
एक परसेंटेज है आप यहाँ के साथ हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट की इतने परसेंट जो है.
ये तो ठीक है कि आपका कोटा कम है, ये तो आबादी के
कोटा
हिसाब
कम
से
की
चलो
बात
मान ली बात आप.
बात यह है ही नहीं. मैंने तो सीधी बात कर रहा हूँ ना. आप कह रहे हो कि साहब आपको जो कोटा दिया वो मैं तो ये कह रहा हूँ कि पूरे मुझे बता दें कि सिंध में कितने मुहाजिर गवर्नमेंट जॉब में, पाकिस्तान में कितने.
मैं कहता हूँ मुहाजिर क्या करते हैं जो उनको बुरा लगता है.
सर मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं और आपसे शेयर करूं.
जी बिल्कुल जरूर.
Recently, very recently, one of my family member, he has no political affiliation with nothing. पंच वक्त नमाजी, मस्जिद, घर.
कराची में
कराची की बात हो रही है. Not too long ago, उसे उठाया जाता है. उठाने वाले रेंजर्स और उसे इस बेदर्दी से मारते हैं और कहते क्या है जरा सुनिएगा. कहते क्या है? You understand Punjabi, right? You understand?
I do, yes.
Okay. So he goes, the ranger guy beating him naked करके. दाढ़ी वाला है, मौलाना है, मेरा कजन जो है, उसको कहते हैं एदी ना माँ दा पता है ना एदी प्यू दा पता है. S and then dash मारो सनू.
वो तो कराची की बात.
ठीक है ना, ये कराची की बात मैं कर रहा हूँ. Why? नहीं कराची की बात कर रहा हूँ.
Discussion नहीं है, Q&A session and wind it out.
Sir, why are we being treated like that? Is this how? I mean, rangers are
This is
supposed
not a
to be.
racial problem. This is an overall problem.
So why not, sir? You आपके हाथ में कलम है. Pen is mightier than the sword.
क्वेश्चन था आपसे बेसिकली.
Sir, हमें प्लीज वहां न पहुंचाएं जहां हम अगर चले गए तो फिर बहुत बड़ी बात
So
खड़ी
you
हो
accept
जाएगी।
Pakistani constitution and you want changes in constitution.
We want, yes, exactly. We want changes in constitution. We
And you
want
support Nawaz
the
Sharif
Pakistan ki
initiative to change
system.
constitution?
Political.
आप देखें, I mean, let rule of law. If a general is corrupt, if a military guy is corrupt,
You are
take him to the court, put him behind the slammers, put him behind the bars.
you are in good numbers.
I'm so sorry, sir.
You are in good numbers there. So
This is a
politically
discussion.
we have
This is a
to
question and
say-
answer.
No, we don't right now. देखें, I'm trying to raise the conscience.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
लास्ट क्वेश्चन का मैं जवाब दे दूं आपके कि आपने कहा सवाल किया कि कोई किसी कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ में गए। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में हमारी 1994 की पिटीशन पड़ी है, 1994 की, ये तमाम एक्स्ट्रा जुडिशियल किलिंग के हवाले से आज तक की उसकी एक भी हियरिंग नहीं हुई।
लेकिन सर कराची में तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का आपने होने भी नहीं दिया था एक दफा।
मैं इस्लामाबाद की बात कर रहा हूँ।
लेकिन देख लेंगे
ये discussion ही Q&A
जब मैं
session है।
सबमिट करके
मैं
आया-
डिस्कशन कर रहा हूँ, वो कर रहे हैं भाई। अब जब वो बात करना चाह रहे हैं तो